Hey folks, welcome back to Mark Kelly Farm. If you're following along the channel, you remember we picked a bunch of cabbage the other day and we're still doing stuff with it. So today we're going to make some sauerkraut. So if you've never done that before, stick around. We've done it before on this channel, but never in a bulk like we're going to do it right now. Stay with it. We've got our two cabbages from the downstairs fridge. We did the final trimming on those, cleaned them up real good. We're going to make these into sauerkraut. So we're going to get this all shredded up real fine. Now to shred our cabbage, I'm using the mandolin. If I've just got a little bit to do, I'll just use a chef's knife. But since we're doing like 2 full heads of cabbage, this is a good thing to break out. It makes really short work of shredding this cabbage. And we've got it set to about 1/8 of an inch. You want to be really careful with the sharp blades on this thing. Once you get down close, I usually just save the rest for the cutting board and I'll chop it up real quick on the cutting board. But you can take pretty much a quarter head of cabbage and slice that baby up. And you can see the nice fine slice you get of that. Now back in the day when they were doing big huge crocks of this stuff, they used to use a box shredder, and we'll show you a picture of what one of those looks like. You can still maybe find them in your antique store. Got a whole head of our cabbage shredded. We got another head to go. Need to make some room in my bowl, so I'm going to start packing the cabbage in the jar. And rather than make a whole bunch of quart jars of sauerkraut, I'm going to use one of these big gallon jars for the fermentation, and then I'll probably move it down to pint jars when we can some of it. We want to keep some fresh because it's got a lot more probiotic value when it's fresh rather than when it's canned. My cousin gets these jars in her restaurant full of dill pickles, and I've acquired a few of them from her. I can get them anytime. They're really nice to have to do like bulk fermentation, or you can make sun tea or whatever. But we're going to start packing this cabbage into this jar. We're going to be really mashing the snot out of it when we put it in there. Now as you layer your cabbage in, you want to smash every layer. I'm using our Pampered Chef hamburger scrambler. Works very well for this and a lot of other things. But we just come in here and we just really mash this stuff up. We want to really wreck it when we put it in there and smash it good. And then we're going to start adding some salt little by little as we get this stuff going. Now the reason we smash our cabbage into the jar is we want that cabbage to give up its juice, because this sauerkraut is going to make its own juice. We're not adding any liquid to it. And as we mash it layer by layer and add salt, the salt's going to help draw the liquid out of that cabbage. The other reason you can't just fill the whole jar up is because once it's full, you can't really smash the stuff on the bottom because it absorbs the pressure. So that's why you got to layer it. After we get our first level in there all smashed in, we're going to go with a tablespoon of kosher salt. This is our good Redmond's kosher salt. And then you're going to end up with about 4 tablespoons in this whole gallon. Now another thing you can add that some people used to is caraway seed, and that would be an equal part. It'd be about 4 tablespoons per gallon, or about a tablespoon per quart. If you were making this in a quart jar, you'd end up with about a tablespoon of salt as well. So we're going to keep layering this stuff in. Got our gallon of sauerkraut in the making here. You can see when I press down on the top here, see how that liquid comes up? We've got liquid all the way to the top. Now in a quart jar, I have little glass weights that I put on top of here to keep that everything down below the liquid. But I don't have a weight that will fit in here, so what I'll do every day, I'll come in here and I'll mash the top of it down to get brine on everything, and that'll keep any bad stuff from growing in here. And we're going to put the lid on this, but we're not going to screw it down tight because this is going to ferment. It's going to create bubbles and gas and all the other stuff, and that's going to have to burp off. So we're just going to kind of set the lid on top of this, and then we're going to put a rag underneath this, so if anything boils out of the bottle, it'll be caught by that rag or the towel and not run out on the counter. We just put our cabbage over here in the corner out of the sunlight in the kitchen. Our lid's just kind of sitting on there. So in a house that's about 75, 70 degrees, somewhere in there, this will take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Any colder in your house, it could take 4 to 5 weeks. It just depends on the temp. And then the longer it goes, the more sour flavor it's going to get. And remember, if you don't have a weight on top, you need to come agitate that top every day and mash everything back down into the liquid, and then you won't have any problems. So if you've never fermented or made sauerkraut, I highly recommend it. It could not get any easier, folks. You can see there's really nothing to this, and it's going to be the best sauerkraut you have ever had. And again, if you do it in smaller batches, you get that probiotic effect out of the sauerkraut because it's natural. It hasn't been canned. The store-bought stuff has been canned, so you're going to lose some of that. So it's a good reason to do it at home. We put 2 full heads of cabbage in that gallon jar. So if you're using quarts, 1 head of cabbage will do about 2 quarts. So you can kind of figure on that. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on Mark Ellie Farm. We'd really appreciate it.